This is unlocking the power of Ruby, where your code is no longer the only thing that is, run. You're going to install more libraries than Ruby standard library. Ruby standard library is stuff that you can Google on, and say, let's say you want to find the select method, and here the standard library provides you like there's a basic data type, data structures like array and string. So that's under the Ruby core, and then there's a standard library which is extra stuff that you can use. These are extra tools such as logging, connecting to let's say the internet, and then download information. So for example, if you want to read a file from the internet, save that image. These are, or if you want to use other type of sorting, or if you want to time how long your program is running. So this comes with the Ruby standard library. In the future, Ruby may remove this out to an extra thing you have to install, so that it's easier to maintain. What we're doing is to look at bundler, and bundler is a way to maintain the extra libraries that you use, but it's not the place where people put the extra libraries that you use. Okay, so bundler is a tool where you say, hey, bundle install. Bundle install is install anything that I need for this project. So we'll get back to bundle very quickly, but you can see the syntax like this. In Ruby, here, if you use bundler, you create a gem file in your project, and then you say, hey, look up for the gems in rubygems.org. And then these are the gem that I want. So a gem here is the library that I've just mentioned. So from now on, I use the word gem to mention this library. So you have a gem colorize. If you use on your computer, you type gem install colorize, it's installed into the system, but it's not ideal because your project need to specify that it needs colorize. What if it needs more than that? It needs a tabulate gem, there's a Ruby on Rails gem, so they all put in the gem file. So we'll get back to gem file very quickly. But basically there's a command called bundle install, which just go and install each of these gems for you. Okay. Now what is a Ruby gem? So rubygems.org is the place where people publish gems. Because people publish there, it means we also install gem from that place. And you can search, for example, you have tried using colorize, and here's the gem, and normally you can predict what the URL is yourself, /gem/colorize, and you can see the date it was last updated. You can copy the same line here into your gem file. There's a gem colorize here. There's some extra syntax about the version number. You don't have to worry about that yet. Okay, we will very quickly we'll get to installing that together. So why there's this thing called a gem file and this thing called like gems. So I'm just gonna use some other programs to demonstrate. Here's the Chrome app, Chrome browser, and when you install anything, you guys know that they show up here, right? If I click this, it'll show up a bunch more extensions that I use. So you can try that on your browser. You see that this is a pop-up blocker, right? This is 1Password. But you can install other things like YouTube, Gmail extension stuff. So in the Gmail app world, it's called extension, and stuff that is built and published by other people. And you can go, where do you go to find the extension? You Google Chrome extensions, and then it takes you to the Chrome Web Store, and then you find it. So this place is like your rubygems.org, but it's for Chrome. right? So here you search for something like, I don't know, is anything Ruby related? Oh, here's an extension in Chrome that lets you search the API doc, right? And that's pretty much it, I guess. Here's, you can do IRB on the browser. So you can search for this extension to do a few cool things. Let's say look at another favorite application of ours. This is VS Code. And it's also called extensions. And then you install these things to your app. And then somewhere there's a file that lists all these extensions so that when you run the app, it'll just try to install all the extensions for you. So we understand why we need this kind of extension system, right? Different people manage different packages. They are responsible for updating them, and then things will get updated. The core team, like the people who work on Ruby can keep improving to make Ruby faster, but the people who make the text colorized and make Rails, they're all different teams, and we can all work together. Basically, we just say, hey, what's the latest version you have? Let me see if I change to the latest version, it still works. If it works, excellent, thank you, I'm going to use it. Okay? Right, so we have our Learn bundler. Here's an empty folder. I'm going to have a folder. I'm going to call it, maybe I just say test.rb. So we all can try that. Create a test.rb file. And in here, you write a put statement. Hey, I am in test. Hello. Oops. So we have a hey, I am in test. You guys can save it. Now note, if you have not already, you probably want to turn on autosave in the file here. And then make sure you go down here, you can type test.rb and it runs hey, I am in test. Can you give me a thumbs up? Thumb up if you got it to work. Yeah. So for this to work, you need the bundler to be, Learn bundler folder to be in the same path. The file is, if you want to make sure, type ls in Windows dir to make sure you have that file. Don't use the run thing, okay? So use terminal. Yes. Yeah. Oscar, how you? Sorry, Luis, how are you doing with this one? Yeah, you're the first one. Sorry. So, for those who are not there yet, you can ask the friend how are you? If you hear already, I need you to do this thing where require colorize and then write the next thing. This should be blue dot colorize blue. And then run it. If you already did this before, don't worry. I will still explain a new thing or two. Don't use spaces for overviews. So next, gem uninstall colorize. Alright, hi, say, just create a new folder. So I call this folder Learn Bundler. Create a new folder. If you need help, maybe Ian can help. And there, create a new folder. Inside, there's only one file. Okay, so open here, create a new folder. So I have a new folder here. Open that folder, and there's only one file in it. Okay, in this one file, we are going to put this text, and we run the file. Ian, do you have this? Do you still have an error? No such. Okay, very good. So now here, type gem install. Now if you get an error, you type gem install colorize. If you don't have an error and it works, if the text is in blue, then I ask you to uninstall it so that you get an error.
And then install it again?
No. So, because for those who have an error first, they don't know what it looks like when it works. So for them, they will have to uninstall again. Yeah? Sorry, you asked? You need to do require colorize up there. I'll make the text bigger. Okay, so Sinead, are you able to create one file? Awesome. Then here is the file name. Initially, only do one thing, which is, hey, I am in test. So Ruby test, it should work. Make sure you can get this to work. Always do one step at a time. If you get that working, then I add an extra thing. I'm just going to put it down here so it's easier to see for folks. Okay? Then this should be so you guys got it working?
No, did you want
Yes.
you want to see it here?
But have you been able to do gem install? Can you get it blue?
Something about
This one.
Okay, so now we're gonna well, the error message recommended says hey, so says so you want to start notice that so having gem install.
Did you type in before gem install? I think it was
Right, so we have gem install. That's what it's install.
we have
Excellent. Now you're running a feature right? If you save the file, it's not saved yet. You turn on auto save. Okay.
Okay, there we go.
Alright. This is fantastic. We almost. This is should be very awesome. Awesome. Not too many things at a time. We're going to focus on moving stay up to speed. Huh? Okay. So those of you. So we just have one more. We're almost there. So try to print out. If you're here, try to play with more strings. Now, actually, to do that, you need to read the instruction, right? Ruby colorized gem. So if you Google, the best place to read the documentation for a gem tend to be GitHub. So you just Google it, and then they will. You can just read their README file. Okay. But this is just basically the different ways you can use the gem. Now, this is if you're already here. I'm asking you to do this to familiarize with reading the docs while I'm still waiting for one more person to set up. Feel free to use this to experiment in your code. Okay, so you need to be in the same folder. What folder are you at? You create a test.rb folder and a test.rb file. That's not good. So let's remove that down here. And let's just delete that. So create a new folder altogether. Let's make this one now. Create one new folder. It's already stuff. Documents. So here, for example, if you like maybe put it here,
So this is red on blue.
and from there I'll update it right here.
So you use color bar for red, which changes the text.
Let's call this the one. Okay, so it's empty folder. And in here, create a new file, click there. Test.rb. Enter. Then type. You go to the terminal.
On blue.
It should be the same folder, and then you should. Every time you run this no search file, you have to fix that first. So type something here, puts. Yeah, it's like important stuff. That puts it's a test, and then you help us enable it. Read that one. Sorry for those who are waiting. See if you guys come up with something cool. Background text and foreground text. Alright. But so we never need to read something to understand in full. We just have an idea of some of the tools we like to use. Yes? You can have more colors. A lot more colors. You can try to play with them. So if you type this, it will show you the list of colors. For example, you go to IRB, require colorize, string.colors. These are the colors you can use. Sinead, you get the colorize? Do you get the blue string?
This is
Ian, did this work for Sinead, the blue string? For example, here you can do this available colors, and then here is string.colors, right? Obviously, this is it's not in colors, but you can see the available colors here, okay? Of course, if you don't like the colon thing, I think that looks good. We'll keep them. Yes, for now, because she doesn't have RVM. Okay, I'm gonna go forward. So for everyone that is it working, I need you to do gem uninstall colorize. Okay. Gem uninstall colorize. Can you give me a thumbs up if you've done?
No, no, no. Is there a something that you just haven't
Okay. Ian, are you done? Kui? Can you give me a thumbs up when you're done? Alright, so here's the idea to keep in mind. When I download your project, this is your code. When I download your code, I don't know what I have to type, right? Gem install something. I don't want to run the code and then every time I run into an error, I have to say, oh, what is this? Oh, colorize, I have to do gem install colorize. Sometimes it's not obvious. So the idea here is that you know your app needs colorize. And you don't want to tell people to, in the README file, go do gem install colorize, gem install table, and many other tools, right? So that is the idea of gem file. You declare what you need. So I create a new file here called gem file. Okay. So in this gem file, I call it. I have to define the source, and then I define what gem I need. Okay.
No file extension.
No file extension. Gem file. No file extension. Just type gem file. Because VS Code is smart. It's not based on extension. It's based on more than that. You just check. There are a lot more, file types that is Ruby. Okay.
How did it work? Just type gem file, that's it.
Create a new file called gem file, and this is what you type. Oh, my bad. You need a string unit. This is Ruby code, guys. Okay.
That's gem life. Gem life.
Gem file and that. We good? If for those of you who are finished, remember, first run ruby test.rb and then you should get an error. Make sure you get cannot load such file colorize. Yeah? Cannot load such file colorize. Run it first. We all have that thing? Okay, so next, type ls and make sure you have these two things. If you don't, please let me know. Okay, so now you type bundle install. Well, actually, before you can type that, you need to do gem install bundler. Gem install bundler.
So the name of the gem file needs to be exactly like that.
Inside the gem file?
Yeah, the name of the gem file.
What is it?
Gem
What?
file.
Yeah, the file, yes.
So if we change the name.
If you change it to en file, it will not work. It has to be called gem file. Yes. So gem install bundler. So Sinead, you can type sudo in front of it because you didn't set up RVM yet, I think. I don't know if that can help you with that. So just type all of that next to it. Okay. So here. No, not .rb, just gem file. Please rename the file back to gem file. Not gem file.rb. Okay. So now you have bundler. So this is the tool, a thing you type a lot in your Ruby project. Bundle is short for bundle install. It's the same thing, but when you read documentation online, they always say type bundle install because the meaning is very clear. And when you type that, you can press enter, and then you can look at what the program is doing. It looks up the information from the source, and it's installing the gem field.
You see it here?
Okay.
You said that you
There's one thing that you may notice. Did you guys notice anything that happened?
it might be
Yeah. It's
still.
when it's done, you can't notice. Bundle install. It's still oh no, bundle, not bundler. Bundle install.
So basically, reach out to the internet today.
Yeah? For those of you who already there, then I can recommend another gem here. It's called terminal table, and you can add it. Gem terminal table. Okay? But if you're not there, don't worry about it. Who here got bundle installed finish? Alright. And when you do that, do you guys realize something? Just gemfile.lock. And you're not expected to understand this file. All it's doing is locking the version number of the libraries you need to use. Okay, it's just saying that next time you do bundle install, it will check the gemfile.lock and it will install this colorize 0.8.1. Any question there? Don't have to worry about this first. Yeah? So keep it. So bonus now. Let's keep this out first, okay? Keep this out. And everyone now go to source control and commit everything that you've done in this file. So the learn Ruby thing, but okay, so this is lecture 2, for example, I just add everything. Yeah. So for this it's just git. So did you do install git? Okay, so go here and make sure everything is clean. You guys may have to click initialize git, initialize repository, and then type in. Click on that and click initialize repository up there. And type a message like first commit, something like that, or add colorize. Are you good with? Good? Yeah. Is it all committed? Yeah, are you committed? Stan, how are you doing?
Nothing to commit. It might have been because I might have fixed that much.
Make sure you read that folder. Here you need to initialize it in a repository and then commit. No, I mean, it's important just to do it locally even. All right, are you guys ready? All changes go down to 0 now.
So when we use ES code commit, we must be bit file.
What git file?
Bit init.
Correct. So you do git init by clicking the initialize repository.
So is there a bit init file? So
And there's a git folder in here, .git folder, but you guys just don't see it. So don't. I believe. I think it may be kept somewhere else. But yeah, just we're using Visual Studio Code for Git. Okay, we're not teaching how to use Git init here yet. All right, now do one more thing. Jam what I just wrote just now, terminal table. So we're adding a second line. We good? And if you now type, well, click on this to just verify, right? You only have one change so far. Looks good, right? One change. And now I do bundle install one more time. And you realize that it's doing one more bundle install. It's installing another gem. Bundle install. Yeah.
So this time it didn't download Colorize because it checked the version and said, okay, you got the right version. And
Correct.
okay.
So it's very fast
Yeah.
if you do it again. And if you go here to source control, you can double check that the gem file.log also get updated. You don't have to understand like the syntax in here, but it's nothing but just text. It's a version number, gem file, right? You guys, yeah. So if you're done, just say yes and all of that louder, so we can move on a little faster. So normally this is what we do before we make changes. We commit everything, have everything clean, update, add some new extensions. In this case, they are gems. Bundle install. Things look pretty good. Next, we're going to try to use it. Remember, now if you do Ruby test, it will work again. Can we all make sure that it works again? Okay. Now there is this second file second gem I'm using. I'll show you that it works again too. This time, remember, you did not call gem install terminal table. Despite what this guy is saying, this is not what you're doing. What you're doing is you add the terminal table, gem terminal table to your VS Code gem file here. Okay. So you don't need to type gem install anything anymore. Okay. So what I'm doing now is I create the rows to generate a table. Now I'm going to type this myself, but if you feel like you don't want to type, you can just go to the website and copy. Just Google terminal table, Ruby terminal tables. We're creating an array, an empty array, and then we're creating one row at a time. First row, second row, third row. Okay. And then here we say we're going to print out. So we create a table, terminal table dot new. We're using the hash key and value here, rows, rows. The second rows is the argument is the rows we create up there. Rows here is the key. This is the alternative syntax. So I use the new syntax instead. And I just print table, right? Print it out. If you follow all of that, whoops. If you follow all of that, you should get a 1, 2, 3 table that I have there. So, if you finish this, can you raise your hand so I know? You got 1, 2, 3 there. Fantastic. You check the README and see if you can print it in some interesting ways for your example project. Like, for example, you can put a header. Also, you can have a header and down here as well. You can put a separator. Read the README and good. Obviously, if you like, you can do colorize on the word 1 or 2 or 3 there. I don't know. I hope it will work. Can you? So now you need to be missing a require terminal table. Require terminal table.
What if you put it in the beginning of the mode?
Right now, I just put it when I need it, but in general, yes, you put require at the top. I just do it here so it's easy for us to see. Does it work? No, colorize the string, not the right. Colorize the string. You can't colorize the whole row, that makes no sense. Then you have to turn it into a string. If you, here's a little riddle challenge for you. You know, you can categorize this word 1, right? Can you categorize the number 1?
Yes.
Yeah, can you help
We use
today
this library to create
say bundle install word? There's some syntax error up there. You can see from the color.
to create
See the string syntax error line. Just do one step at a time. Okay? Switch your bundle install word. Right. And you guys see you got the fantastic Ruby type Ruby terminal table. Ruby terminal table.
Again, it's just saying that
Yeah.
yes, and then we're calling on this.
Wow, the internet's slow for some. Oscar, do you know how to color the numbers here?
Yeah.
How would you do it?
I did it for the time.
Yeah, but how would you do it? Color the number, the digit 1, 2, 3.
Oh, interesting. And
So if you run this,
they do it 2S.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It has to be a string. So you have, if you want this to be red, then you have to
Right.
turn it into a string. And or you can do 1.2s, right? second one here, you can use that technique that you just saved to us. Okay?
Okay, cool.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. You cannot colorize a number. So you have to do, oh, okay. Not each, it has to be a map, remember? Each will just do it in here and it's finished. Good job. So what Gwee does is that she takes this one and she do that map, and then she do 2S colorize for anything in there. So that's another way to colorize the entire rows. Like a string 2S will be a string. Yeah.
What bottles like the final speed list? First row X is blue, and the second one the number on the right. So this is colorize. So save it real quick.
No, can I ask you to install RVM for today?
So save it in one set. Take one set.
All right. So next step, before we break for lunch, is to understand how to use this whole bundle, take advantage of bundle, okay? So what do we notice so far? We have a gem file that includes all the gems we need. So now you know that if you find any cool gems, you can go and install them there and try them out. There are a few ones, I think, for example, here, this awesome Ruby. And then technically a lot of this is Rails related. But if you find things in the terminal, CLI, you see it a lot, command line, interactive, right, utilities. So you see that there's like terminal table here. Pastel is very similar to that. But so colorize is not even here for some reason. But the idea is that, you know, as you discover some cool gems, you could use them, right? For example, this progress bar may be cool, right? I think, yeah, so you can check them out. Obviously, don't spend too much time. These two gems are good enough to do a lot of things. I think there's one more thing that is a command, Ruby command line from formatter. There's another gem that's really there, command line reporter. This gem can do both table and So you can check this out. Like you can print stuff like this, right? So again, the syntax is very similar. So if you want, obviously it's a bit harder to understand. This is like, maybe actually don't use this, the examples are not clear, but it's very powerful. Too bad, I mean, it has a bunch of wiki articles. You know, if any of you use it and like it, let me know. But the idea is that they give you this kind of function, and then it'll look quite nice. So if you'd like to try it, for example, here will be this line. I'll just comment it out. I'm not gonna. Here's just the extra stuff, right? Extra for those who are already ahead. You might want to check this out. Now, here's the cool thing about bundle install. If you write bundle console, when you learn the Rails, you know, when you code in Rails, you have something called Rails console. And here bundle console is IRB, except that you already have colorize and terminal table all required. Now if I do IRB, colorize is not required, so you have to type require colorize. So you cannot take a string and then give it a color, okay? But if I require colorize, then I can take that string and give it a color now. Colorize, sorry. And then you can print that string. Okay, bundle console is like calling IRB and then calling require together. Okay. Any question?
But I have to be in the right folder.
Correct.
It's gonna look at the gem.log.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So it will look at a gem file and gemfile.log. Correct. When you run bundle console, right, it will load gems from gemfile.log. Yeah. So it will check gemfile.log and see if you install those files, and it will load the files that are listed in gemfile here. Okay. So it will more like it will check that you have gemfile.log, then require files in gemfile. Okay, gemfile gems. So again, bundle console now is a little convenient to run the stuff. Ignore my IRB tools here. So let's say that's another gem that is cool. If you like, you put it in there, and when you bundle console, everything will be required. Any questions so far? I'll let you look at this thing and here's the file so far. Here's how we test them. Here's bundle console. I'm expecting maybe one person can ask this question. You see how bundle console can require all the files, all the gems for me? But in my code, I have to call require colorize, require terminal table. Is there a way that just make it work without having to remember what I require? Now, I did it here so you all can see that we need it for specific uses, right? But for a Ruby file in general, you want to move this to the top. Okay, so we know all the things that we need for that file system. If you code in any other language, this is very similar. Okay, what if I can just call bundle console here, something similar to bundle console here? Then I don't have to require anything on the left hand side, no? That would be a little cleaner. Lloyd, does that work? Sir, phenomenal. So gem install bundler, and then bundle install. Okay, so here's the trick. require bundle setup. So instead of these two things, first I'm going to comment them out, and I run it for you guys so you can believe me. Ruby test. I will say colorize is not recognized, right? The string doesn't have this method. Then you're like, well, I can fix it with this. Oh wait, I don't want to do that. Okay, then you're like, okay, let's try this. And then it say, oh, I cannot load bundle setup. This is the most confusing thing about bundler. The only thing that's called bundle is in the command line, but everything else is bundler. The gem name is bundler. Remember gem install bundler? If you do bundle, it's a fake gem that install bundler for you. Because so many people make that typos. But bundler is the name of the gem. Bundle is the name of the command. But up here is require bundler setup. So let's try it again. Alright, and it's a bit, I think I'm going to try, let me try, there's some extra step I need to do, and I still need one more, it's bundler dot setup. No. What's going on? Uh-oh. Do I need groups for them? Give me a second to test here. I think skip them like that. Okay. So you do need to say, hey, bundler, require everything for me. So it does read like English, right? So from now on, technically, this is a way to keep it clean. Just say bundle setup and then bundle require. Okay, yes?
If you import the gem, all of the gem to every file, it's going to be slow. Because if you just require view them as a
Well, technically, yes, it's a good question. It's like, do I need to require everything? Okay? The answer to that question is a bit more complicated. First is that you should not worry about it right now. You can ask that later. Second, I'm going to try to explain it, and then to some of you, you will not really understand it, and it's okay. Technically, I can group gems into group like, in production or development or something. So technically, I could group them into like, let's say, beautiful or color related, right? In a group, okay? And then over here, I only require that group. All right? Now then you're like, but what if I have another file that require only colorize? You can do that. You don't need to use bundler setup. But at the same time, your app is not slower if you require the whole thing. That's what you think, but it's already loaded in the memory, and these different files all share the same thing. So it's actually faster if you load all of them and different files just use them. Instead of each file just load one thing differently. Okay? So definitely learn the convenient way first and try to understand where it gets slow afterwards. Good question. So I don't care about this group. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't say group. I should like just say colors. Then I can load another thing. By the default. But I'm not teaching colors yet. In Rails, you have something called a development. So like let's say when you load the web development server locally to run the web application, then it's in the development gem. There's a production gem. When you push the code on another server, it runs those gems. They are different gems. And in the test, we may need to install a few more libraries for testing that you don't need for production or local. So thanks for asking that question. But for now, keep your stuff very simple and then bundler require. That's all the work for you. Okay? You can even test for this. Look, if I go to IRB and then I require bundler setup, oh, I guess it doesn't work that way. It doesn't know the, maybe let me try it. Oh, it works, this one works. So bundler require. So in IRB, these are the 3 steps I would need to run to achieve the same thing as bundle console. So I say, hey look, I'm using the Ruby gems source. So look at my gem file for me. And then second, say I say I'm going to use bundler. So there's a bundler gem. I'm going to use a bundler class and call it bundler require. And as you can see, bundler require load colorize tools and terminal table view. Obviously, this is not what you have to do every day. If you want to test it, you can run bundle console. Okay? But if in your file, if you have require bundler setup, bundler require, then you just see, you can just run the file directly. Most of the stuff on the internet tell you that you need to put this here as well, just to be more backward compatible. Okay? So let's add one more gem that just make things interesting. Actually, it's called, what if we can add one more gem? So let's add gem Sinatra. I can see some people get excited to hear the word Sinatra already. So bundle install, or you can type this bundle. Holy moly, do you see that Sinatra comes with a bunch of more gems? Give me thumbs up if you have Sinatra. A gem can be, it can be a meta gem. A gem can have other dependency. It manages for you. That's the whole point. Don't trust yourself in managing the gem dependency yourself. Bundler does it for you with gemfile.log. When you technically, it's not really bundler that is like taking the credit. When you build any gem, you have to tell the system what gems you depend on. If you don't, then your program is worthless. Someone else downloaded it and it just won't work. So you always have to tell have to inform Ruby that what gems you need. So when I install your gem, it will just install any other gems that you need. Okay? This means it's not always a good idea to install any random gem that you want, because you may install something that install an unsafe gem, or your system has conflicts between gems, or you just have too many gems, you don't like it.
So if I install the Sinatra, for example, and you install a lot of games around that, and if one of them conflict with the other gem,
then too bad. You have to go and tell Sinatra to take a look. Or you can fix it yourself and then tell Sinatra, here's my fix, merge it. Or tell the other places to fix. So it's very important to keep all this gem locked in the right version. And look, it may not be a conflict if you're keeping an older version. You're not including an update that have a conflict. It's okay to use an older version. So if you're curious about Sinatra, then you go like what I said just now, gem/Sinatra, right? And you can see that this is gem. This is DSL, means domain specific language. So it's a gem that help you create web application. Whoa, web application. We're not learning that yet. We're learning command line application. But it's okay. These are the gems that it depends on. Only 4, but then some of these gems depend on more things, right? Now if you write Ruby Sinatra, then you get a beautiful website that explains what you can do with it. And we will learn this first before we learn Rails. So obviously the first time you look at it, you don't know where to go. Just click around to have an idea. Okay, so I go to GitHub, which is normally where I like to go, and I look at the README file. Any good projects will have good README files. If you don't, it's unlikely you have these many people who like it. How many people use start a project? So it's like 10,000 developers start it, and then about 2,000 fork it, and then maybe make some changes, make pull requests. Okay. What is fork? Fork is just creating a copy of the repository. This is called a repository. This is the username, organization name. This is the repository. It's hosted here. When you clone, you copy the code from a repository back to your computer, right? But you can push back to that repository. That's a remote, right? When you fork, you create another remote. Okay? So fork is like create, for example, when you clone, it's like receiving a mail, but the mail comes from a post office. You always get your mail from the same post office. When you go and mail to someone, you go to the same post office. When you fork that post office, means you have your own money, you build another post office right inside the house, and you receive or send your mail using that post office. And the original post office has nothing to do with you. However, after 1 year running your own post office, you realize that you have a few better things, and you go to tell the other post office, hey, you guys want to learn from me? Or you can say, hey, can I learn from you? Can you give me some updates? Okay, so with Sinatra, we're going to create one, because it's one more file, not this test file. I'm going to create a file called app, right? App.rb, all right? You can call it app, or you can call it server. It's actually a server, all right? So we'll learn how to use this command line very quickly. Here is the minimum code you need to create a web application. You type, you can copy this yourself. I'm going to type get, right? Let's say go to the root page. We'll explain what it is. Do, and it's very Ruby-like. This is domain Sinatra domain specific language, and there's a get method that does some magic for you. It's fine. Just use two. Okay. In general, yeah, just use. If you ask me, I just say always use double quotation until you understand the difference, and then you can decide. But too many people like to do this and it just confuses too many people. And again, some people think that because this is faster, single quote is faster than double quote, they use it, but the difference is too small. It hurts you more than it helps you. There's no, discernible difference. You cannot tell it. So it's really so small that it's like, please don't try to make your code faster by doing meaningless things like, I'm going to change my quotes to single quote because it's faster. It's not. No one can tell that it's faster. All right. So in here, I return another string. I call this hello world. Okay? And if you probably can guess, if I type Ruby app.rb, what's going to happen?
Well, you don't have requires now.
That's correct. It will say, what is get, man? What is get? Is it get? Is it, right? So then you like require Sinatra. But then hold on. What did we learn? We learned that we have a gem file already. So I will call require bundler setup. And then maybe in this case, I'm doing it the way that Ian said it's not good, is that I'm including everything, okay? Don't worry about it yet. So if I do this, I just want you guys to understand you can load everything is required. And let's try. Uh-oh. Not set up. I keep messing it up. Require. Okay. So raise your hand. I cannot see thumbs up. If you can get this thing, if you type Ruby app.rb and then you see a bunch of lines coming out. Too fast. If you're already there, you will see this funny thing at the bottom. And say that there's a web server start at port 4567. So go to the browser and type localhost 4567 and press enter. Okay? So this is how you say hello world in the web development world. It's also short. If you have done some Java programming, you know what I mean. Try to have a web application that brings hello world. It's even harder than doing it on command line. But look, with Ruby, it's just like 4 lines of code. It's immensely satisfying. But of course, now change it to something else. Change that to whatever longer string. Obviously, you cannot do color anymore. Okay? But then you refresh the page over here, it will not work, right? Why? So you change it to a string. You refresh it over here. It doesn't work. Can someone guess why? Because you need to reload the page. So go down here, Control C, type Control C, and then run it again. And then you get another string. Again, on your text editor, make sure you have 2 spaces, and it's a Ruby file. Keep your code clean. William, did you get this?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Awesome. Yeah, so this command 1, command 2, jump here, command 3, highlights that, not command control. But closest maybe to the master group. Alright. Do you guys know how to do HTML, CSS? Should we try it? Would it work? I don't know. Let's see. How do you do that with this is a string and then color red. Let me try that. I've never tried it before, but it works. So you don't need any colorized gem. Now it's HTML and CSS, right? You can change this to H1, H2, and all of that. Now you realize that it is a document. And we're moving from command line terminal, reading from a markdown file. We can now start to generate HTML documents. So HTML is a markup language where you can just declare H1 something H1, and it's a header. And I'll try this again. And run it. This is the HTML format. Can you try this? See if it works. Adding all this stuff, it's all extra. Yeah? Okay, try again. Alright, make sure you have 2 spaces in here. Then, yeah, 2 spaces. So it works, right? So imagine now your to-do list will be here. So remember Ruby to-do.rb? You can now do Ruby app.rb, and the app file can require list and item all the same. You can read it from the text file and you print them here. Does that give you an idea? And that's something that I wanted to do as a lab assignment, but it requires people to have the to-do app first. So only a couple of you can do. So then we just stick with the lab 1.6, and then if those of you who are ahead, I will walk you through how to convert your terminal app into the web app. This is just a string. Remember, you save to file.
Oh, so it's gonna. But
You have
I'm
to.
just trying to figure out how a terminal app would. How would you print it on a website? Like,
Yeah. So that would be after the break.
Okay.
Yeah. So the break now. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. But you all can get this, right? So that's a Sinatra jam. Here's the difference. You create a different file because you need a server. So that server is a server file instead of a to-do.rb. That's like where you do loop do, right?
Yeah.
Here is the server loop for you, so you don't have to do loop do.
Yeah. Cool. So we got break until 1.
Yeah.